Hello everyone and welcome to another video by Centipede Geek. Today we're going to talk about the FX original television series by the name of The Americans. I'm going to discuss my thoughts and opinions upon episode 9 titled Safe House. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? So pretty much what happens in this episode, we have, some major, big, critical things happening in this episode. Probably some of the biggest things that have happened in the entire series of season 1 so far. I mean, just huge things happen. And one of those huge things is that, Matthew Rise and Carol Souls, both of, our two main KGB officers, they have decided to put their marriage on hold, to pause their marriage, not really break up, but pretty much to have some more privacy. They've decided to split up. So what Matthew Rise does is he moves out of the house, he goes to stay in a hotel downtown, and where they live somewhere, while Kara Russell's character, the mom, stays home and takes care of the kids. That was one of the huge things that happened. They've been kind of foreshadowing that in some of these episodes, but I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. It wasn't a bad thing. It just all of a sudden, like, they foreshadowed the big time in episode 8 titled Mutually Assured Destruction. Episode 8, at the very end, they talked about how, we don't have to stay together. Well, all of a sudden, in the first 5 minutes of this episode, they decide to, he moves out, and now she's taking care of the kids on her own. And when they tell the kids, the kids don't understand. Both the kids, are very pissed off. The daughter's mad. The son doesn't understand. He's upset. He's not doing his social study homework. So we have that whole, drama and conflict going on. And every scene with Matthew Rise and both carousel characters in this is very strange and odd and sort of awkward between them two because, they're no longer, I guess you could say, with each other in the sense that where they're living together. So each scene with them, because they still, I know, they still have that sort of love, but they're putting the marriage on hold. So that we have that huge conflict going on. Then the other big thing we have going on is that Martha, which Martha is the girl that Matthew Rice's character has been having sex with a lot recently, a lot because of being split up. But he keeps having sex with her so he can get more information about the FBI because she thinks she doesn't know who he actually is. So he doesn't know that she doesn't know that he is playing with him. Well, Martha is actually starting to fall in love with Philip. So that whole thing is going on. She's actually starting to fall in love with him. And, they have a pretty graphic sex scene, probably the most graphic sex scene so far in the FX television series by the name of The Americans, for episode 9 titled Safe House. Anyways, after that very graphic sex scene, Martha, asks him, are you really in love with me? What's Philip going to say? Of course. He's going to say, he lies to her and says, yeah, I'm really in love with you. So we have that big conflict going on. Well, the huge conflict in this episode happens right after that. Philip leaves Martha's house, and Martha's ex-boyfriend by the name of Amador walks by and says, what were you doing outside of Martha's house? Amador starts to ask Philip's character a lot of questions, like, why were you there? What were you doing? What was Martha doing? He keeps asking him all these questions. Philip tries to blow him off at first, but it ends up turning into this violent confrontation between them two, and it was more because Amador's character was jealous because he had been sleeping with her for the last, long months or so. And pretty much what ends up happening is Amador's character in this episode gets stabbed and it gets taken away somewhere. And now during this episode, the FBI agents are all wondering where Amador is at. And Elizabeth and Philip in this episode are trying to keep Amador alive because they don't want him to die. They're trying to get information from him because what the FBI agents in this episode are trying to do is they, 3 of their agents died in the last episode along with one of their main key scientists. So now the FBI agents are pissed off. They're extremely mad. They're angry and they're furious. And they are now trying to kill the Russian KGB officers off one by one. They're tired of it. So around the end of this episode, they end up, taking one of the guys named Vladimir to a hotel safe house and taking him there and questioning him, asking him, what he's doing, if he's a Russian KGB. And by the end of the episode, I forget his name, but the main, FBI agent that lives across the street from Matthew Rise and Kara Russell's character, he ends up shooting the guy in the back of the head. And the reason he ends up doing that is because at the end of the episode, Amador dies. And the FBI agent made it very clear to, to the head guy, to the head, Russian guy. He told him, if that Amador dies, he said, this is his exact words, that he was going to cut his balls off Vladimir's balls off, and wear him as a necklace. And that was literally his exact words. And so, he did exactly that. He shot the guy in the back of the head. They had sort of a Last Supper thing where he bought the guy a burger and then unexpectedly asked him if he wanted the Coca-Cola, and then he went behind him and shot him in the head. Great scene, by the way. But during this entire episode, it was also doing a lot of flashback scenes with Amador's character. We got to learn a lot about his backstory, because Amador, he wasn't a main character, but he was a very good supporting character. So I really enjoyed him, and I honestly didn't I didn't expect him to die off this quickly. A lot of unexpected and a lot of twists, for me at least, happened in this episode. A few of those was Amador dying, so I didn't have a problem with it being this quick in the series. I just didn't expect it. Also, the splitting up between them two, Matthew Rye's character and Keri Russell, both living at separate places. I didn't expect that either. But, it is getting, we only do have about 4 weeks left of the first season of FX's The Americans television series. So, with only 4 episodes left, I guess you could say that everything is now getting down to the wire with all these unexpected twists happening, and the FBI ain't no longer playing around. They want to take out, the KGB officers, and the Russians are going to have to start putting their stuff into gear if they don't want their officers to be killed, which means Keri Russell and Matthew Rye's both. Matthew Rye's made a mistake in this episode, a huge mistake, stabbing the guy. That wasn't not a good thing to do. But he's going to have to start being a little smarter if he wants to not be found out. Anyways, that's pretty much the basic plot of the FX Originals television series by the name of The Americans for episode 9, titled Safe House. My thoughts and opinions on this episode, I really enjoyed it. I've said this in a few of my other reviews, for like several television series and several other reviews for The Americans of episodes reviews I've done of themselves. And I have to say that even though all of the episodes in The Americans so far have been solid, this one, episode 9, titled Safe House for the Americans, is definitely the best episode yet. And the reason I say that is because it had the most quality of drama in it. We had, like I said, Matthew Rye and Keri Russell, they're split up. And we have the whole drama of the kids. The kids are great actors and actresses, the Paige, and then I forget the boy's name, but they're crying, they're having to deal with their parents splitting up. Of course, they're young, that daughter is probably no older than 14, 15 years old. So, and that kid's probably, 10, 11, maybe 12. So these kids are very young and they're having to deal with their parents being split up. They don't understand, of course, because of being so young. And they also don't know that their parents are, Russian KGB spies. So they have that whole conflict of drama going on. Some, like I said earlier, great quality of drama. The most conflict in any episode so far. I also really enjoyed the flashback scenes with Amador. Even though he died, it really gave his character a lot of backbone because, the FBI agent, the guy with the blonde hair, the older gentleman, him and Amador were really close. So they showed some background scenes back when, he first became the guy, and they talked about all kinds of things, So anyways, I really enjoyed Amador's flashback scenes. Really cool. And I thought he was going to live too. They tried to nurse him back, because they wanted to find out which KGB Russian spy officer that the FBI was targeting. He lied to them and told them it was the head guy, when in fact it was Vladimir. So, that you have that whole conflict going on. But, what I really liked in this episode, like I said, was the whole drama about them splitting up, because honestly, I want them to get back together because I like both Phillips and Elizabeth's character. Those are my two favorite characters in the show. I probably like Matthew Rye's a little more. But anyways, it's sad to see him split up, and it was a sad and tragic episode in general because of them splitting up, and then because of Amador, dying. So overall, a very sad episode in general, but definitely the most well-written episode so far in the FX original television series by the name The Americans. Another reason I liked the episode was because the drama and the conflict in this episode just really felt stellar, really felt on point with where the series is going as a whole. Anyways, that's pretty much my thoughts and opinions on the series. Next week's episode is episode 10, titled Only You. Like I said, only 4 weeks left. Next week's episode, according to the promo I saw on FX, it looks like the FBI is really pissed now because of Amador being dead, and they're starting to take things to the next level. They're really starting to look for those Russian KGB. And one of the scenes, it looks like Matthew Rye's character is just getting out of the shower, and it looks like he starts, he's like in a towel wrapped up, and he's walking towards the door with a gun because the FBI is knocking on his door. So it looks like things, the FBI might finally find out, who's who. Really nice stuff, though. Really enjoying the series as a whole. Can't wait to see where it's going to go. Anyways, once again, thanks for checking out another television review of The Americans on FX, episode 9, titled Safe House. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the page below. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later for more videos by Centipede Geek.